Right. So ever find yourself daydreaming about like stepping right into a Sherlock Holmes story? And like not just any Sherlock Holmes story, but one set in the real London.
Who hasn't? Right.
Well, today we are going to be cracking open the October 16th edition of the Love to Visit London newsletter.
Ah, I love that newsletter.
Me too.
Yeah.
And they have some really, really cool London experiences in this one. Like, we're going to be talking hidden history. We're talking about some really charming neighborhoods.
Right, yeah.
And even a little taste of, like, the Victorian era.
Yeah, and while, everyone loves the big landmarks,
Yeah.
I feel like this newsletter really gives you those extra special spots that most tourists never even see.
Exactly. They really pull you in right away. Right from the start, they're inviting you to escape the crowds and, like, step right into the Sherlock Holmes Museum.
Oh, I love that place.
Have you been?
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. It's not just any museum. It's a whole experience. Like, they actually recreated his entire Victorian townhouse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's amazing. You can practically hear the floorboards creaking under your feet. They even have objects on display and letters and things from his most famous cases. So you can practically feel the presence of Holmes and Watson like deducing in the corner, you know?
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so speaking of cool, we got to unpack this Lambeth recommendation. They keep calling it one of London's, quote, hidden gems. But, like, what actually makes it so special?
Okay, so think of it this way. If Buckingham Palace is like this perfectly preserved historical artifact, right? Lambeth is like a living, breathing neighborhood. Like it's right by Big Ben, it's right by Parliament,
Oh, wow.
but it's got these layers of history kind of etched into the streets, you know. You could easily stumble upon like a centuries-old pub. Like I bet you Charles Dickens himself probably had a pint in some of these places. Or you could turn a corner and find like a secret garden tucked away behind a row of Georgian townhouses.
It's all about those, like, unexpected discoveries, huh?
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of unexpected discoveries, this newsletter has a whole section called Around the Web, and it's basically just packed with even more London adventures.
Oh, what?
And first up, we've got Portobello Road Market, which they say is like one of, if not the most historic street markets in all of London.
Oh, it's incredible. And it's so much more than just like your average tourist trap with souvenirs and stuff. I mean, they have those too, but it's really about the experience. Like every time you go, it's different. New vendors, different street food, sometimes even street performers.
Wow, that sounds amazing. That also sounds like a total sensory overload, though, if I'm being honest.
It can be a lot, yeah.
So, like, what if you need a break from all of the energy?
Well, lucky for you, the Thames is right there.
Oh, true.
And the newsletter recommends a luxury river cruise.
Ooh, now that sounds nice. So relaxing.
Right. Imagine yourself just gliding along the water, you know, seeing all the famous landmarks, Big Ben, the Tower Bridge, but like from the comfort of a beautiful boat.
And no crowds.
Exactly. You get the history, you get spectacular views, but without all the chaos.
Right. And it's not just staying on the river in London either. They were saying that a lot of these cruises actually make stops
Oh, yeah.
at like castles and manor houses out in the countryside,
Yeah.
which would be amazing, right? Like that's a chance to really like slow down and experience what life was like outside of the city back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like stepping right into a period drama, you know, complete with the rolling green hills and the charming little villages and everything.
Okay, seriously, sign me up. Where do I get to? Okay, there's one more thing from the Around the Web section that like really caught my eye.
Okay, what is it?
They included this whole guide to royal palaces and castles and residences in the UK.
What?
It's like, how can you resist, right? Those places are iconic.
I know.
We're talking like Windsor Castle, Buckingham Palace, you know, the whole shebang, like places that are basically synonymous with like British royalty.
Right, right.
Centuries of like history and tradition just like oozing out of the walls.
I mean, can you imagine like strolling through those grand halls, picturing all the kings and queens who walked those exact same floors?
Right. Like, what did they see? What did they do?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, man, that's amazing. Okay, but okay, hold on.
What?
Because they kind of throw in a curveball here.
You mean?
They also recommend a day trip to Oxford.
To Oxford.
Yeah, I know. Oxford. Like, that feels like a whole other deep dive we need to do,
Yeah.
like a whole separate thing.
I mean, it is a whole other city, but...
Right. But here's the thing. It's only like an hour away from London by train.
Oh, that's right. It is really close. Yeah,
So it would be super easy to just like pop over there for the day.
totally.
You could like have breakfast in London, spend the afternoon wandering through like the historic colleges in Oxford,
Hmm.
and be back in time for like dinner and a show in the West End.
Exactly.
So like it really just highlights how accessible everything is, you know?
Yeah.
Like even if you're only in England for a short trip, you can still see so much. Okay, I know we've covered a ton already, but there's one more tiny little detail that I have to go back to.
Oh, what's that?
Because it's small, but I feel like it just like perfectly captures the whole vibe of this newsletter.
Okay.
So, tucked away at the end, they have this little reminder about the changing of the guard ceremony at Buckingham Palace.
Oh, yeah.
Which, let's be real, if you're going to London,
You kind of have to.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
one of those things that you just like, you got to see it at least once.
Yeah, the precision, the music, like the history of it all. It's really something else.
Totally. It's like witnessing like a piece of living history, you know?
Right.
And I like that they included it's like they really want you to like experience London like a local, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This newsletter is all about going beyond just the typical tourist traps and really like uncovering those hidden gems.
Yes.
The little unique experiences that make London so special.
Exactly. Okay, so I know this is maybe a weird thing to focus on, but of everything we talked about, there's one thing I haven't stopped thinking about.
Oh, what's that?
It's that little bit about the, quote, Victorian biscuits.
The biscuits.
Yeah.
Oh, from the recipe section. I
Yeah.
loved that part.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it just like stuck with me. It's such a small detail.
Right, right.
But I feel like in a way, it kind of represents this whole idea of like experiencing history through your senses. You know?
Oh, totally. It's like, yeah, you're not just reading about Victorian London, you're tasting it.
Yes, exactly. Like you're transported back in time
Exactly.
through your taste buds. Okay, I think for me, that just sums up the true magic, not just of this newsletter, but of London itself, you know?
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
really is all about like uncovering those hidden layers.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
little sensory details that make the past come to life.
Yes. And like this newsletter, it kind of reminds you that London, it's not just one thing, you know? It's a million things all at once.
Right.
It's a city of contrasts. Like you can have the royal grandeur,
Mhm.
and then right around the corner, it's like local charm, you know? Bustling markets, but then peaceful riverbanks, all in like a few blocks.
Exactly. It's what makes it so exciting.
Right. Okay, so I think as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with like a little challenge.
And a challenge. Okay, I like it.
Okay, so imagine of everything we talked about today, if you had to pick just one thing,
Just one.
one experience to be like the cornerstone of your London adventure, what would it be?
Oh, man. That's tough.
Right.
Because would it be like the Sherlock Holmes Museum with all of that immersive history?
Ooh, good one.
Or like, would you lose yourself in the Portobello Road Market?
So many good choices. Or maybe like a serene little escape with the luxury river cruise.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Or would you go all in on a day trip to Oxford?
See, that's the thing. There's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
It really comes down to like, what speaks to you personally?
Yes.
What sparks your curiosity?
What are you most interested in?
Exactly.
And honestly, that's like the whole point of travel, right?
Is it?
It's about like creating your own experience, like going on a little journey of discovery and then, you know, coming home with stories.
I love that.
So yeah, go forth and like make your own London story.
That's so good.
And hey, maybe you'll even find like a hidden gem or two that like we didn't even talk about.
Oh, I hope so.
All right, well, until next time,
Happy travels.
happy travels.